I wanted to explain what the words child abuse were to me. A lot of times, girls tell people, I was abused, and then people say, I'm sorry you went through that. But they don't understand. Child abuse, there's so much, there's so much that goes into it. And I wanted to help people understand why it's so hard to get past it or get through it. Because the words carry so much weight to those of us who have gone through it. Child abuse is so much hurt, so much fear, broken families, suffering. It's so much. But most importantly to me, child abuse is a wandering soul. You kind of lose yourself in there. So I wanted to tell my story. The memories, when you look back at those memories, it's not just thinking about it. You really feel what you went through. All the moments that held you in that scary place that you didn't know how to get out of. Those memories are so hard to remember and to get past. It all started when I was 6 years old. My mom met this man, and she's a hopeless romantic. She really wanted to meet that person that she could spend the rest of her life with after having her kids. There were 4 of us already, and she really had hopes. She met this man, and she didn't know that his motives were not love. He saw that she had 2 young girls, but my mom didn't know. And so she fell in love, and she married him, and I had a dad. I was that little girl who always wanted my drug addict father to come out and rescue me and be my superhero, but that didn't happen. But there, I had a new dad, and I was so happy. I was so happy. So the same year that he came into our lives, I remember the first time he made me feel uncomfortable. I was going to take a shower with my mom because I was still 6 years old, and I was waiting for him to come out so I could take a shower with my mom, but he insisted that I'd go in too, and my mom didn't think anything of it. She saw it as he was trying to act like a dad, taking care of me, and he had kids of his own at some point. I felt so uncomfortable. I knew that it was wrong. So that was the first time and how it all started. Whew. The second time, I remember him sitting on my sister's bed, and he told me that if it wasn't me, it would be her. And so I said okay, because I didn't want her to be scared. And so that was another time, another memory that I can't forget of how it all started. He threatened me so many times, and time again, reminding me that nobody would believe me. He said that I would break my mom's heart, and my mom was my everything. She's my everything still. My mom hurting is the worst thing that could ever happen in my eyes. So I stayed, and I didn't say anything. I was quiet. He disgusted me. Every time he touched me, I just wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I was like, why? Why do you have to touch me? For 7 years of my life. 7 years. It's sad because I remember I would hold my legs tight at night. So tight that I would wake up in so much pain the next day because I just didn't want him to touch me. And that was 7 years of my life. I remember all those years he was preparing me for when I was a woman. So I was still a little girl. I was still, 7 years old, 8 years old. And he was preparing me for when I was a woman. Until he wasn't, because he got impatient. And I remember the first time he tried to rape me. I was crying so loud. I was so scared. I didn't know what was happening. I was so little. I was crying and crying, and he stopped. And the second time, I remember being so angry at him. I was doing everything he wanted, and he's still gonna do this to me. I was angry. The third time, I knew he wasn't gonna stop. So I kicked and I screamed and I hit him, and I just kept trying to get off. And I ran away. And I got away. I remember running so fast and feeling my panties hanging off my ankles. But I got away. I remember the pieces when I took it off. I remember the pieces. It was barely hanging on to my legs. I remember that. I remember the spot. It was in front of a big hollow tree. It was always the same spot. That place, it was like a nightmare to me. I just remember it. Just, how can you make something so beautiful so scary? In front of that tree, I remember, in the forest, because he had land, he would take me there and he would undress me, and I would stand still because I never knew what he was gonna do next. So I just stood there hoping that he wasn't gonna try to rape me that time, because I know that my luck had run out. So I just had to stand there, stand straight, and hope that somewhere deep inside he would try not to hurt me. I remember I'd close my eyes and I would pretend that I was somewhere else. And I was so good at that. I would just close my eyes and I would just be somewhere else in my head. And it worked for a very long time. I was so strong back then, and I didn't even know. This little girl was so strong. This man would force me to do unimaginable things that no child should have to do. I remember he made me a house. I was so excited. I could fit in the house. It was like, had a door, had windows and everything. But it turned out that the house wasn't really for me to play in. That house had a lock. And he would lock me in the house. And I was so scared of that lock. I was so scared. Because when that lock was on, that was how he would keep me there. That's scary. Because it was in his land and nobody could hear me. I could scream all I wanted, nobody would be able to hear me. No child should have to go through that. I remember I was just so angry, and I would just wonder why. Why does he have to do that? Why does he feel like my body is his? I don't understand. So I came to that conclusion after learning is the sin in him. My stepdad was governed by sin. All of who he was full of sin. That's sad. It's really sad. So at 12 years old, I came to Minnesota supposedly for vacation, but my aunt and uncle gave me the option to stay here. And so I stayed. Hi. Hi, little bunny. At 12 years old, my aunt and uncle brought me to Minnesota, not knowing that through them, God would start my restoration process. He restored me physically, emotionally, and spiritually. See, my aunt and uncle are devout Christians, and I never had someone there to tell me or teach me or even answer my questions that I had about God and Christianity, but they were there for me. And they taught me what love really was through Christ. I felt so ashamed, so dirty for so long. How can God love someone like me? Someone who has been part of so many ungodly, disgusting sexual acts. How can God, the God who created everything around me, want anything to do with me? One night at 3 a.m., I remember going to the only safe place I had at the time. It was the bathroom. And I locked myself in the bathroom. Sorry. I locked myself in the bathroom and I got on my knees, and I didn't only beg God, but I challenged God. I was like, if you're real, make this man disappear. Get him out of my life. I can't do this. I remember that. I remember just sitting there. I can't do it anymore. I have nothing else to give. And soon after, he was gone. God just ripped him out of my life. It's crazy to say that, but it was so fast. He got him out so fast. Even though it's been a long time since he's been in my life, the consequences of his sin still live in my life. I really wish that I could forget or move on or get over it, like most people say and tell you to do when it's not their story. But I'm working on it, and I'm in a place where I didn't think I would ever be, even though I still think about it and I'm still dealing with it. I never thought that I would be where I am right now. For a long time afterwards, I would just push people away or constantly look over my shoulders, and I couldn't walk next to somebody or a man without me trying to see their faces just in case something happened. I was always preparing myself for the worst, just surviving. I was doing the same thing that I was doing, but that's not living, and that's not what God intended for me. That's not life. The consequences of what I went through have even leaked into my marriage. It's really sad that my husband can't just touch me freely, because he never knows when it'll be good touch or bad touch, or he's gonna get off me, or don't touch me. He doesn't know. I mean, I'm blessed because he's so patient with me, and he keeps helping me get through this. I keep praying about that every day, because I want my husband to feel that freedom, that he's not gonna make me feel afraid. That when he's around me, I truly enjoy his presence. And I keep praying for that, because I know God's gonna get me there. I was even told by a doctor that I wasn't gonna be able to have intimacy because of the trauma that I went through. It was just not gonna happen, because I was not gonna be able to open myself up to anyone. But here I am. I'm married. I have 2 beautiful kids that I love very much. So they were wrong. Doctors are not always right. Sometimes I still deal with it, but I remind myself that I was just a kid, and I remind myself that I don't give that little girl enough credit. I mean, that little girl took her sister's place. That little girl was wise enough to say, it's okay, I'll take it. Don't touch her. That little girl fought off a man that was probably 3 times her size and got away. I don't give her enough credit. So I'm proud of that little girl. And here this little girl is telling her testimony. And I'm still here. And with this, I want to expose the enemy and shine the light on God, saying, you couldn't hold me down, because I serve a bigger living God. So I'm exposing the sins of the enemy and letting myself have a chance to live a life full of love and Jesus, and just living because I deserve to live and not to survive. In Matthew 9:21 says, if I only touch his cloak, I will be healed. And I will reach every day, and every moment the enemy tries to take that freedom from me, I'm gonna reach for his cloak, and I will be healed, even if it has to happen every day. The woman in that verse was considered dirty and sinful to all. But when she touched Jesus' cloak, Jesus turned around and he said, your faith has healed you. He said, your faith has healed you. Our battle, it may seem impossible to conquer at times, but keep fighting. You're worthy. You deserve to live and not to just survive. Put your shame, your hurt, your fear, your anxiety, your guilt in God's hand and live. I'm done. I didn't think I could do it. How do you feel? Feels good to let it out. I'm shaking it. It feels good to let it out and to put it out there. I just hope that at least one person sees that, that they don't have to live like I did. Or it may not be sexual abuse, but maybe something else, some other battle that they have gone through. And I hope that they don't just give up, because because we're not here to just kind of go day by day. We have so much to give, and when we're stuck in a place of just suffering and we just stay there, we don't have much to give, because we need to give the little bit that we have to ourselves just so that we can get through. And I want other people to have what I have, and feel the love that I feel and the joy that I feel, because I didn't think I deserved it, and I got it anyway, because God's grace is amazing, because I don't deserve it. I mean, I've done things that I'm not proud of. I've not loved God the way that I should or that He deserves, and I've gone searching for what only God can give me outside of Him. And I ended up in a very unhappy me. And now I'm so full of joy, and I'm so thankful. And I wish that I had seen somebody else get where I am today after what I've gone through, just so that I could have that little bit of hope just to get me up and moving and trying and move forward, because I didn't think that I could. Again, it's just by God's grace, because I know a lot of women that have gone through the abuse that I've gone through. Some of them, end up either cutting on an alcohol or drugs, or suicidal, or being prostitutes, because that's what they think they deserve. That's what I thought I deserved. That life of addiction, the being less than, that's what I thought I deserved from how dirty I felt. Because I felt so dirty. And to this day, I still battle with feeling of, oh my gosh, all that stuff that I went through, I just want to wash it off, and I can't, because it's there. I think about it, and I've been there. And even now, I don't remember everything at once. There's some days where I remember something that happened that I had not thought about it before. Like today, I thought about the time that He built me a house. And I remember how excited I was. But that house wasn't for me just to play in. He had other motives, and He made that beautiful thing of giving a child that toy that they've always wanted, the joy. It's about taking innocence and abusing it. And that's a sad part. And I thought about it, and it kind of broke my heart, because I have kids now, and I can't imagine doing that to my kids, because their innocence, it just fuels my heart. It fills me with joy. And I just want to take a little bit of their innocence and just kind of put it inside of me, because my innocence was taken from me. And so just little things like that you don't think about, but then just out of nowhere you remember. Just of 7 years, something reminds you of something that happened. So yeah, I want people to be happy and know that they can get to even a better place than I am. They can be healed. They can be joyful and live a fruitful life, and just live. That's what life is about, right? I don't want to waste it. So